This has been awesome this week. It's been so much fun meeting all of you. So thank you for all the conversations. I've done a soft pitch of this this talk to a couple of you, and really I was thinking about like how do we close out this conference from the only brand guy here, the guy that walked into the lion's den. I survived. You guys are all super nice, and yeah, so it's been awesome. So I was really thinking, like, you guys have been talking all day about tactics for 2 days, strategy. That's really not what I'm here to do, and I also know my audience. You all are total pros. I've been on the grind running my own agency. I've been in Rachel's groups. I've seen the spreadsheets. I've seen the Monday boards. You all are animals. So I was really gonna take a different approach here, and it's a topic that it's kind of been a consistent through line for all the brands I've worked with, mostly in outdoor, and I really think there's something to it, and there's been a lot of other people talking and talking this week that this really hits home for, like, you know, we need to just kind of slow down and think about what we're doing and building longer lasting strategies built with quality. So let's go. Built to last. So I called this What a 127-Year-Old Brand Can Teach About Quality. It's really, like, as I mentioned, a topic that's been consistent throughout my career, and it really has hit home during my 2 years at Filson. We are the original Alaska outfitter from 1897, but we are in Texas, and we have a huge ranching heritage, so I'm leaning into that today with our beautiful photography. So a little bit about me, and this is my photo. I thought it was about me. This is from when I lived in Jackson, Wyoming for 12 years. I've spent 15 years in marketing and CRM. I started in fan clubs in the music industry, which was a hilarious start to a career. I've always chased a bit of fun in my career, and that was a really funny one. I can tell some stories over some drinks later. And that kind of morphed into the same company, concert ticketing, subscriptions, still linked into those fan club events, pre-sales. So really always database focused. And then I moved out to Jackson, this beautiful place, and started working for Jackson Hole Mountain Resort as their CRM and market research manager, and got into resort sales, lift ticket bookings, mountain sports school, travel and tourism. So those sorts of database, you know, pre-arrival, post-departure surveys, all that kind of stuff, email marketing. Back in the dark ages, I've talked to Jason and a few people about that. You brought up CD-ROMs, but yeah. It's much nicer now on Klaviyo than it was back then. So, and then I moved into outdoor gear and apparel. I worked for a brand called Stio. They were a startup at the time, and was there from kind of their $3 million to $12 million years before I started my Klaviyo agency. They now ramped up to $100 million in 10 years, and I just saw they're up for sale looking for a buyer. So yeah, I kind of took my learnings from Stio and went to go help a lot of startup outdoor clients scale their programs through Klaviyo, and the Klaviyo agency program just caught my eye, and I went all in with it, got into Rachel's group, scaled up my agency, had a lot of fun, and then yeah, moved across the country, had a baby, life changed, and went back. My wife also owns her own business, so I went back on the brand side, a little more structure. I'm less entrepreneurial than she is, but brand I've always admired, brand I've loved, so it's really a dream for me. Proud Klaviyo champion. There's a few of us out there. Gabrielle, Nihar, Rachel is a Klaviyo champion this year. Hannah from Dataships is not a Klaviyo champion. I want to say that for the record. She might tell you otherwise. Why I'm here. Rachel rules. She's the best. She's the reason a lot of us are here. This group she's built. I was so excited to come here and talk with you all because I've mostly interacted digitally, but I hadn't been to one of her events. I've run my own small agency. I know what that grind is like, and the day-to-day, it's a wild world. So I think that was another reason I'm here. And I was really asked to bring that brand perspective. And today it's, you know, you'll get that from this talk about what big brands are looking for from products, from agencies, from services, from tech partners. But really I wanted to take this into more of a storytelling angle, just about overall what we're doing and what brands do. Also, Rachel's the only person that I will don a cartoon cowboy hat on LinkedIn and get endless shit from my friends and family. So, love you, Rach. So, quality. Here's a real cowboy hat. What is it? What are its tangible and intangible aspects? You know, the tangible quality of outdoor gear. My wife's an interior designer, the tangible quality of those building materials, those finishes, but there's also the intangible aspects, like feeling really moved by a piece of music or film or a hobby you get into, and you don't really know why you're drawn to it. In e-commerce, you get that hook, you hook someone in, they don't really know why they're on your site, but that experience has to carry through. So today we're going to dive into a little bit of Filson history and start kind of with that more tactile, tangible aspect of quality from day one that really solidified the brand. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It's a little bit of a cult classic, but it's a book that really hit me in college and really laid out the foundation of what is quality, how does it run what everybody values. And so I brought this quote today: care and quality are internal and external aspects of the same thing. A person who sees quality and feels it as he works is a person who cares. A person who cares about what he sees and does is a person who's bound to have some characteristics of quality. So it's kind of a retro analog philosophical take on it, but it's perfect for Filson, this historical analog brand that we're trying to bring to digital maturity. And that quality has really been a through line for my career and what I've seen drive the needle for experience, for conversion, whatever it's been, whether it was the quality of the mountain, the sports school program, the quality of the snow at the resort. At Steel, I built their Qualtrics program, their market research, and ran it for a while. And throw that into a word cloud. There's all these little words on the outside, and in the middle, it's just big word quality. It is just like a huge driver. But there's also the intangible aspects of that. Why you value things, people, products, services. It's everything. It's the product. It's the storytelling. It's the beautiful photos. It's the online experience, whatever it is, but that there's that intangible drive that is really hard to put your finger on, but it's really that whole ecosystem. And there's another quote in Zen and the Art that's just like, when you go to try to describe that thing, it kind of just all goes poof. Like you can't put your finger on what that is, and we kind of all know that feeling. So at Filson, we call that the world of Filson. Everybody knows it's high quality gear. It's performed in the harshest environments for 127 years. But it's the quality of the imagery, the highly curated stores that feel like you're stepping into an Alaskan guidepost, really stepping into that history. If you put our product next to one of our main competitors that maybe has more brand awareness, we're probably not going to win that battle. But if we bring you into that heritage and that history, we win you and we have you on the hook. I've talked to a lot of Filson fans out there this week that get that. So that's been great. So that's where I'm going to start today, with that kind of more tangible aspect of Filson history. Starting with our mission, it's really to create the best-in-class products that outsmart the elements, outperform expectations, and outlast you. So obviously very product quality driven. This is a short line cruiser. We're going to be giving one of those away at the end of this talk, so stay tuned. But really it's products that get handed down for generations. So how did it get its start? In 1897, the SS Portland pulled into Seattle, which could be described as a shit ton of gold, and thus kicking off the Klondike Gold Rush. And C.C. Filson was there. He opened his first store. 30 to 40,000 prospectors, miners went up to chase that dream, and it was rugged up there in Alaska, and they had to go over Chilkoot Pass to get into Canada, and it was really, really tough. So. The brutal weather, the gear requirements, Canada wouldn't let you over the border if you didn't have about a metric ton worth of gear and supplies to get through. So it was super extreme. That same year, Clinton C. Filson opened his first store near Seattle to meet that demand of those brave explorers. The quality of his wool that he was manufacturing and that gear earned him a reputation as essential. These weren't people that were taking a whale cruise up to Alaska. They were really getting into it. A lot of them didn't make it back. It was totally brutal. So really it meant the difference between life and death. And really until his death in 1990, Filson continued meeting the needs of those outdoor explorers and laborers. So we talked about 1897 and 1914, the Pacific Northwest logging boom. C.C. Filson patented the iconic cruiser jacket. We celebrated the 110th anniversary of that jacket. It's still one of our best-selling products today. Just talking about quality and utility. Surveying tools, the maps go here. It's just the quality of the wool that keeps you warm and dry all day. That's really what built the brand. And then in 1945, it became the jacket of the U.S. Forest Service, so all the Rangers were wearing it. It really kicked off another era of kind of Filson in the sportsman realm for fishing, hunting, outdoor, but still in that outdoor laborer, tradesman market, and really carried the brand for a while. It's gone through a lot of iterations. At times it was just a warehouse and a catalog, kind of wholesale brand. In 1991, Filson introduced our rugged twill bags, which are made from industrial strength rugged twill and bridle leather, seen here holding up a 750cc Volkswagen engine. And then, let's see where I'm at. This is why I'm a writer and not a speaker. So today, Filson is a modern brand. Like, we still are manufacturers of unfailing goods, modern e-commerce retail wholesale brand built on that legacy of problem solving for the outdoorsman. But we're also, we dip into high fashion, the quiet luxury space. You'll see us equally on the show Yellowstone, as you will, on Succession and collaborations with high fashion designers. So it's kind of dipping into that space as well. But what is that quality built? And what is that, how does that maintain over time? So the quality of the material has produced the longevity of the product that gets passed down for generations. That longevity is the value of the product. Value builds trust, and trust is really where you get people for that lifetime retention. People pass down their Filson, down to their grandkids. It's really meant to outlast you, as we say in our mission. So. Really Filson clothes for the man who knows, and really earned the moniker might as well have the best. We've received letters and photos like this for decades of people in their Filson gear, whole families using Filson to power their adventures. Really a legacy of quality that's passed down through the generations. It's a total flex to submit pictures like that, and I still run our reviews like Klaviyo reviews and approve those, and have a real cowboy come in a ranch in his chaps, and he's showing off his cruiser, and it's just, I'm always like, hell yeah, approved, get that on the site. It's so cool to see. So, and that we still get letters like this. So here's one. I was in a severe airplane crash while working as a guide in Alaska. I suffered a broken leg, lower back, nearly tore off some fingers. In that condition, I laid in the snow for 11 hours at 25 degrees. If it hadn't been for your Filson coat, which kept me warm and dry, I wouldn't be writing this letter today. And there's a ton of those stories. There's a guy that missed with his chainsaw, and if he wasn't wearing his double tin cloth chaps, it would have gone straight through to the main vein. He just came out with a scratch. My favorite, now that I live in Vermont, in Burlington on Lake Champlain, there's one about Lake Champlain. A guy had a tin cloth hat on, and his boat capsized in 50-degree water, and until the Coast Guard got to him, they couldn't believe he wasn't hypothermic. His whole body was freezing, but his head was warm, and he thinks it's what didn't push him into hypothermia. So those stories are there, and it's just pretty wild how that quality has maintained the brand. So when we're thinking about that tangible aspect of quality, or the intangible aspect of quality, like, what does that produce? That lineage of quality to longevity to value to trust to lifetime retention. What is retention? It's really relationship, loyalty, whatever you want to call it. It's really relationships built out by that quality value, the longevity of that relationship. You can think about that as your product, your service, that sticky retainer, that product feature release that really changes the game and provides that long-term value. So how does that notion of quality translate into the modern world of e-commerce with all its complexities? This is a bold statement from the boss man, Mr. Filson. It's a lot easier to say this when you have one retail store. Back in the day, we all know the complexity of e-commerce. We just connect stuff. Someone buys, you send the product. That's easy, right? We're not talking about anything else this week. We're not talking about challenges. It's much more complex than that, as we all know. So, we were built for larger businesses, especially older brands with outdated tech. It's much more complex. So in that digital relationship, there's so many touch points, there's so many things where that quality, that tangible and intangible quality, has to carry through to the checkout, to the long-term, life-term relationship. Shout out to Klaviyo for this little data point. 1 in 5 buyers will stop purchasing after a single negative experience. So think of all the touch points your clients or customers have to go through, the quality of your product or service. It has to hook them at every point. After the purchase, that transactional experience, it's got to be flawless. When I arrived at Filson, the tech issues were seriously harming retention and customer relationships. We've made some really major improvements over the last two years, but to get off that old tech, to kind of restructure, start from the beginning, but we have a long way to go. So when retention goes rogue, what happens? So in a world of Amazon, enterprise e-commerce, customers expect a lot. The limitations of that old tech or the stuff that isn't working, you can't run that promotion. You can't always know what that outward-facing experience, how that's impacting your retention. The integrations, you can't sync those retail purchasers, so you're hammering this person with a campaign that you think is a e-com prospect, but actually they have a 10,000 LTV in your store. And there's tons of that, and that's what we're doing with Klaviyo B2C CRM. We're trying to connect all those points, get all that knowledge, and improve the quality of those experiences throughout the whole thing. And then there's been so much disruption. Really, I like the themes that have been coming out this week. It's just everyone's kind of taking a breath from the AI-driven, tech madness of the last year or two, and really starting to think about longevity and the quality of what you're building. So, where I've seen the agencies fall by the wayside are the ones that have rushed that trend-driven tech or strategy that really wasn't right for the brand, or the out-of-the-box loyalty program or anything. Just plug it in, it's going to work. And really, that's just not how you build longevity. You might get a quick win. It might be what's best for your agency and your bottom line at that time, but it's not best for the longevity of the customer and your relationship with that brand. So regarding that disruption, got one more quote from Mr. Filson that I think really fits into that. The goods which we quote must not be confounded with the cheap and vastly inferior grade with which the market is overrun. Such goods are not only worthless for the purpose for which they are intended, but the person wearing them would be better off without them. So anyone who's been in the industry long enough and has been sold that dream before, only to find it actually harmed your data or your customer experience or lost you money, we've all been there. So any of you who've worked in CRM for long enough, you have the war stories, you've got the scars. Any sort of that breakdown in the care and the intention that feeds quality, that feeds all that down the line, it really leads to a breakdown in quality, which is the start of this long-term relationship. Here we go. There we go. So we're talking about the future. I'm a retention marketer, so that's where a lot of my framing comes from, but I'm very focused on the future of CRM for B2C. I love Klaviyo. I love the angle they're going with, truly integrated tech stack that's helping us build that solid foundation. It's not gonna happen with a lot of care and intention. It's not something you're just gonna set up and boom, it works. Every integration, every data sync, it has to have that quality, that intention, that care, that's gonna drive the quality of that specific experience in the customer journey. Otherwise, you're just plugging things into a dead outlet. It really isn't gonna have that electricity of quality that needs to drive it. So at Filson, we knew we couldn't just sustain what we were doing with the tech bloat and all the patchwork solutions. So taking the reins, establishing a modern, scalable foundation for long-term growth at Filson, we just had to stop chasing those quick wins, stop chasing, getting the quick cash. We had to really think long-term. So for us, that was migrating to Shopify. That stability and performance, we really started native, taking our time. We're adding really high quality tools as we scale, but only if they make perfect sense for our customer and that experience. Of course, we had those quick wins, obviously moving off of outdated system that was broken. So, instant boost to conversion, drop in cart abandonment, boosting that quick rebuy. I love the transactional experience improvement that we put in there. We get really quick rebuy from that. So SMS, transactional SMS, turning Klaviyo into that really fully actionable B2C CRM, from that ESP to a world-class CRM marketing engine, more intelligent and meaningful digital relationships. That focus on quality at every integration and every interaction, and really that unified profile for all customer journeys, no matter where they're coming from. I integrated our POS data, and now we actually know, hey, our digitally engaged customers that are shopping in store, they have a $100 high AOV on most of our campaigns because they're going in and they're touching and feeling stuff. We should probably speak to them in a little bit of a different way. We know people that have lived generally in our our retail store locations, but connecting all that data, now we actually can not hammer them with email and serve hot leads. They're actively browsing our site and should probably get an invite into the store from the store manager. Digital segments things, customer service, repairs. We have a huge repairs department. Filson's guaranteed for life because it's so high quality, and that's a major part of the brand. So we have to, get that in a better place for communications. Thinking about loyalty, returns, experience management. We have a pro program that needs improvement. Wholesale. We're starting tours again at our Seattle flagship to check out how a Mackinac Cruiser is stitched together. That is going to be a whole other booking program that needs to sync into Klaviyo, but it's also an acquisition source. It needs to be quality. We need to welcome that person. We need to remind them of their employment, and we need to talk to them if they didn't purchase at the store when they leave. Do they live in the area? Do we need to treat them like an e-commerce customer? All of that stuff is really how we're taking the reins, starting slow, thinking about intention, care, and quality to really build that long-term journey. So. Built to last. So quality, I really think it's the true competitive edge for agencies and tech partners. Those pushing the quick wins or using those tech solutions that aren't built for longevity, don't have the value, aren't building that trust. You might get that quick win, but it's really not going to do a lot for you in the long run. It's not going to sustain your agency. It's not going to sustain your product. So it's really time to return to the basics of that retention journey. So quality in your product, quality in the service, the solution, the strategy. That is what brings longevity, creating lasting, meaningful relationships and impact. That longevity of the product, how much value it brings over time, that's really where you're winning hearts and minds. That's where the reputation is going out there, the quality of your product. That's where you're building trust. And that's really where retention comes. It's that sustainable growth beyond the first sale. So yeah, that's my TED Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. We do have a giveaway. I'm going to show it for a little bit, and then yeah, I'm shutting this keyword down just so it doesn't go too crazy out there. But if you want to text in, you can enter to win Tin Claw Shortline Cruiser. It's one of our iconic products, and you also get a 20% off discount that's good through April 20th. So thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure being here. Thanks to Rachel, Klaviyo, and all the tech partners for putting this on. Thank you.